Hey guys, hey, concept 17, looking at slope. Yeah, we're on level 3. I want you to be able to calculate slope from a table now. And I want you to represent a linear relationship from a table, or an equation, or a graph, or even a story. We want to see how all those interrelate, how they all work together. Alright, here we go. Alright, first problem. I got 2 problems for you. I'll do the first one with you, and then you can kind of work the second one on your own, and I'll walk you through it after you get some time to work on it. James pulled the plug and recorded the times, X, the times, and the amount of water left in the tub. That's my Y. The times are given in the table here. Find the slope or the rate of change for the water leaving the tub. How quick is the water draining out is what we're trying to find. Alright, so now, last thing we want to work is, how do I find the slope from a table? We found it from a graph. We found it from some points. And now we want to find out, okay, how do I find the slope from a table? Well, you could, if you had a graph, you could graph these out and do the rise over the run. Or you could write out 1025. You could write out an ordered pair, 1025, because that's what it is. And do the change in the Y, and I could write out 2020. Just like I showed you on the last video, and you could do your change in your Y and your change in your X. Okay? But there's quicker ways that you can do to find that slope and do it from a table. And that's what I want to show you right now. Alright, let's review what's slope. Well, there's a new symbol I want to teach you. It's called delta. It's a Greek for it's a triangle. It's the Greek symbol. It means change. So delta Y means change in Y divided by the change in the X. Okay? Little new symbol there for you. So what I want to find now is I want to find the change in the Y, and I want to put that over or divide it by the change in the X. So let's do that. So I make these little greater than signs. And over here I'm going to make little less than signs. And I'm going to write the change after those. So if I go from 25 to 20, 20 to 15, 15 to 10, what's happening? Not just 5 though. Okay, you got to make sure you're showing that I'm dropping by 5, which makes that a negative 5. So I know my change in the Y is going to be negative 5. Okay, and now what's my change in my X? Well, that's easy. That's 10, 20, 30, 40. So we're jumping by 10s. But we're not done yet. So you can't say negative 5/10 because we always want to take that slope and reduce it to lowest terms. And what does that equal? You can see that's pretty easy. That reduces to negative 1/2. And that would be your slope. Now, what does that mean? How do I answer the question? Well, that's when we get into the unit rate. The unit rate, remember, I just want to divide this. So if I take negative 1, you know negative 1/2. Take 1 divided by 2, you're going to get 0.5. Well, 0.5 what? Well, look, 0.5, what's my Y? Gallons. So gallons per, I can just put a slash, per what? Per second. Ooh, that was an ugly S. So gallons per second. Okay, that would be my unit rate. That's how quick that tub is draining. Half a gallon in a second. Every second, half a gallon. That's pretty quick. So how long will it take to drain the tub? Well, if you keep your pattern going, 15, it'll go to 5, and then it'll get to 0. And then it'll go from 40 to 50, and from 50 to 60. So how long will it take? It'll take you about a minute. Alright. Now I already started my line on the graph here for you. I graphed these points here, 10, 25, right there. Next one is 20, 20, 30, 10, and then 30, 15, and 40, 10. I graphed the point, shot a line. Now, as I showed you last time, this number right here, this 30, is an important number that we need to have when we write our equation. Now, how can I get that number out of here? Well, if you look, if I keep my pattern going backwards, my starting point, that's what we call it, my starting point is 0. And if I keep my pattern going here, instead of dropping by 5, I'm going to go up 5. I want to do the opposite. Okay, remember the guys climbing the mountain? We did the opposite to figure out what it was. And if I go back one more, that's all I need. I'm going to get 25 and 5. I'm going to get 30 gallons right there. And that's where I started. That's why it hits 30 right here. Now we need all that to write the equation out. So you see how the points line up and make a line. You can see my slope. Forgot about the slope. The slope, I'm dropping 5. There's my 5. And I'm running 10. So 20, 25, 30. There's my run of 10. And that continues all the way through. Dropping 5, running 10. Dropping 5, running 10. Okay, get the picture here. There's my slope. Now we're going to put all that together. Put my slope and my starting point, or my slope and my starting point right here. I'm going to put all that together into y equals mx plus b. Write it down so you got it. This is how we write our equations to give us all these numbers. So where m is the slope and b is my y-intercept, or it's called your starting point. So quickly, so I'm going to write negative 1/2, or you could put negative 0.5. So negative 1/2 gallons per second. And then what's my starting point? Where did you start? You started at 30, and that's what that B is. That's your B right here. That's B. Okay, this is your B. You have to find it here. That's the B. So on the table, you got to remember to go back one to get that starting point. All right. So what would it look like? Now, using the slope that I found in the starting point, what would the problem read if I inserted those two in? Well, if you're taking a test or doing some of your homework, it says a blank gallon tub. Well, that's my starting point. A 30-gallon tub, okay, full of water, starts to drain at a rate of my slope. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to put it right here. And the drain is actually the negative here. When it drains out, that's the negative. Drains at a rate of 1/2 gallon or 0.5 gallons per second. That's what the word problem would say. That represents all of these together. Okay? Now, why is my equation useful? Well, what if I said, I don't know, what happens at 50? I know this is an easy one. If you had a harder one, what if I want to know at 50 seconds? Well, I could put 50 right there and plug 50 in, take half of it, or negative 1/2, that'd be negative 25, and then add my 30 plus 30, and you're going to see that I'm going to have 5 gallons left. Just what my table, when I kept my table going here. So I can plug in numbers here, and it can tell me what it's going to be without even looking at the graph, because I got the equation, and I can use that to figure them out. All right, I got one more for you. Last one. A car rental company charges a flat fee plus so much per day to rent a car. The table shows the number of days the car is rented and the total charge. All right, I want you to do this one. I want you to pause it. I want you to find the slope, and I'd like you to find the unit rate. And then take a shot if you can. Figure out how much 10 days is going to cost. What would 10 be? If you didn't keep the table going, okay, how would you figure out what 10 would be? All right, pause it. Try it. All right, here we go. Well, just like you did last time, I wrote here delta y, change in y, delta x, change in y, change in x. Okay, remember the y goes on the top, and I'm looking for change. So I made my little greater than symbols here, my little less than one over here. So now I want to find the change. 52 to 64. Well, that looks like 12. Is that 12? 12 and 64, 76, and 76 and 12. Yep, that's 80. So all of these have to be the same for this to work. And all of these are, yep, they're 1. So what is my slope? Well, It's 12 over 1, but do we really put the 1? No. So you just write 12 what? What does the 12 represents? Dollars. Okay? So dollars per what? Well, per day. So it's going to cost me $12. That's how much it's going to cost right here per day to rent it. Now, what's my unit rate? Well, it's per 1, so that is my unit rate right there. So it's $12 per day. So put a little dollar sign per day. I'm just going to put PD, per day. Now, how much would 10 cost? Well, you can take 10 times 12 and get 120 and say, well, yeah, it's going to be 120. You forgot that. You forgot an important thing. You forgot that flat fee. So I need to find what that flat fee, before I can figure out what 10 days is, I got to find a flat fee, what that is. And remember, that is your starting point. That's this intercept right here. So let's graph these. If I go 1, 52, as best I can, and then 2 is 64, 2 is 64, 3 is 76, 3 is 76, and 4 is 88. So 85, 88. See if I can shoot a line here. See if I can hit them all. Get it right through them. That's good. And hit every dot. Yeah, looks good. Alright, so there's my graph right here. And what I really want to do is I would need to find this right here. I need that starting point. And I can do it from my graph. And I just want to go in reverse order. Do you remember to do that? If you did, that's great. If you back up 12, I'm going to have $40. That's my starting point. That's my flat fee right here. That's $40 right here for that flat fee. And then how much per day? 12 bucks. And that's what this is saying, because you're going up 12 over 1. Up 12 over 1. A rise of 12, and then a run of 1. Okay? So let's write that let's finish it out. So what do I have to do? I got to add my base charge, that 40, that starting point, onto the 120, and I get 160. There's my cost for 10 days. Okay? Can you write an equation now? That's easy now. So how much do you charge? $12 a day plus, yep, that starting point, 40 bucks per day. There's my equation. What would it look like in a word problem? It says a rental company charges a flat fee of $40. That's there. Plus, how much per day? $12 per day to rent a car. And that's my slope right there. All right. Hopefully you see how all those work together, and you should be able to work each one and find all the others. If I give you a graph, you should be able to do a table or equation and make up a story. You should be able to do, if I give you one, you should be able to get the other 3. All right. Good luck. Got any questions?